All right, we're back in statistics. We're going to start doing our statistics for the week and learning what we need to learn. And we did this in my little motivational speech about getting the driver's seat of your own life. And in psychology, they call that developing an internal locus of control. An internal locus of control. So locus is a center, right? If you look up locus, define. It's a Latin word meaning place or location. So an internal place or location or locus, an internal locus of control. So your center, your place of control is internal. It's inside yourself. So in psychology, they call that an internal locus of control versus an external locus of control. I call that being free or being a slave or a prisoner, right? If you're free, you're making your own decisions. You have an internal locus of control. If you're a prisoner or you're a slave, and you're not free, you have an external locus of control. The warden, your parents, the government, God, society, your conditioning, your patterns of behavior, your patterns of thought. Those are the external locuses or centers of control making decisions for your life. So developing an internal locus of control, getting in the driver's seat of your own life. When we were talking about that in the previous video, we generated this table here of data. And the data is 100 career possibilities ranked with AI survivability. We have the career title, the average annual salary, the satisfaction level, the primary sector, and AI survivability resilience, right? And then I asked for that as a CSV. What is a CSV? Does anybody know? So a CSV is comma separated values. And if I click open on this, right, it opened it here, but then I could download it. And I downloaded this CSV, and so here's this CSV. And then if I take this CSV and I drag it into Google Drive, and Google Drive is mostly free, I think. They have a free level, and I like it way better than other competitors that are out there. Than Microsoft. I think Microsoft is, I don't understand why it's so successful. And here's career possibilities ranked. And so now I have this all in a spreadsheet. And I could bold this first header, and then I could double click these columns right here, the dividers. I get that two-way arrow. I could double click between them. And this is just FYI to show you what you could start to do with data and how you could start to make more informed decisions, because statistics is really about helping you make better decisions. Statistics is really about how you make better decisions. Statistics is really about how you make better decisions. Who here wants to make better decisions? Say aye. Right? Like, I want to make better decisions. What do I say to my kids when they're going out to do stuff in the world? Make good decisions. Like, I want to get that like as a placard, right? Like, make good decisions. Like, I want that as like shopping. Like, is there a metal sign I can get? Make good decisions? Like, that's great. 1525. How to Decide, Annie Duke. See, that one I told you about, Thinking in Bets? That's another great book by Annie Duke, right? But make good decisions. Where did I buy that? I'm going to have to come back to it. So statistics is about how you make good decisions, how you make better decisions. And so here I could like start sorting this. And I could select all the data by clicking right there, and I could go to data, and I could go to sort, and I could do advanced sorting. And the first thing I want to do is I want to say, hey, I want things to be sorted by job satisfaction, and my data has header. So I'm going to say job satisfaction level, and then I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to say I want it to be sorted by AI survivability, because if the job goes away, who cares, right? And then the next one I'm going to add is I want it to be sorted by salary. Okay? And now I'm going to click sort. And now we have below average, right? Job satisfaction. So I'm just going to like, I'm going to make a copy of this so I have the original data. So I'm going to click down here and choose duplicate. And I'm going to say my possibilities. Okay, these would be possible careers I could go after. And now I'm working on this one. I can make that a different color if I want. I feel like it should be pink. And the starting one will say, oh, you know what? Starting one will be like just, I don't know, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. Blue, and then the one that are my possibilities, they should be what? Green for go, man. All right, so we're going to get rid of below average. Those are gone. I like, and I could go up here and I could go to view, freeze, and I'm going to do the top row. So now as I scroll, my headers stay in place. Woo, that's cool, right? And I'm going to keep high job satisfaction, low job satisfaction, gone, baby. Door-to-door salesperson, fast food, janitor, telemarketer, restaurant line cook, hotel front desk, retail, gone. Not doing it. I'm choosing my job here. I'm choosing my paycheck. Not doing low job satisfaction. They study jobs. What has the most satisfaction? And part of why I'm showing you this is because statistics is about what? Making good decisions. Statistics is about making good decisions. Make good decisions. Make better decisions. And we are very practically and applicably, however you say that word, very practical and applicable. We are using data and statistics to help us make a good decision, a better decision about the most important decision you need to make at this stage in your life, which is what? Choosing your job, choosing your paycheck. Yeah? And what did we learn? Just FYI, what did we learn on Tuesday? We learned some terminology, right? That we have a population and we have a sample. Okay? And if we look at a population and we get some measurement of a population, I'm just looking to see if that's being captured. And we get some measurement of population, the measurement of the population is called a parameter. Okay? And we know that these are easy for us to remember and think about, that the measure of a population is a parameter because they both start with P. And a sample, when we do a measurement of a sample, the measurement of the sample is called a statistic. That's what this course is. It's a statistics course. But the word statistic is a measurement, some measurement that we got from a sample. Why do we have samples instead of just measuring the entire population? Why do we have samples? Did I have too much coffee this morning? No, it's just right for you? But next time, if I have 5 cups instead of 2, is that going to be too much? You guys will have a hard time. You'll be like, slow down. Yeah. Too much energy, dude. Go for it. You got something to add? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I think statistics focuses on a certain group of people. Instead of overall, it's the people that applies to it. So when you get a sample, you get a more focused data.
Everybody give him a round of applause. Woo! And I'm applauding him because he contributed. Dude, society wants people who contribute. You know what society does for people who contribute? Society gives them what? Money. Society gives you money if you're a contributing member of society. If you're non-contributing zero, society doesn't give you money. If you're contributing, society gives you money. So if you want money, anybody in here who doesn't want money, say aye. Whoever in here wants money, like if I was Mr. Beast, I'm like, I've got $10,000, and you want it, say aye. Right, yeah, like, okay, sure. Dude, yeah, I'll put a pool in my parents' backyard. For sure, let's do it. Oh, yeah, for sure, I'll drive a Lamborghini. That'll be fun. For sure, I'll take a crazy vacation. That sounds great. Yeah, I want to have better health care. I want a safer car. I want to live in a better neighborhood. I don't want to hear gunshots in my neighborhood. For sure. I want my kids to go to better school. For sure. Give me more money. All right. Somebody else had their hand up. Let's hear it.
It can be really hard to take an entire population. So if you take a small sample, you can make an inference about the entire population.
Give her like a double round of applause. That's like a standing ovation. Yeah! And we're not going to do that every time, but we'll do it a little bit because we're just cultivating a culture and a community of appreciation and applauding, giving positive feedback, positive reinforcement, because I want to see this behavior in all of you of contributing. I want you all to become contributing members of this classroom and of society, and I want lots of money to flow your way. And I want you to message me in 5 years or 10 years. Say, let's grab lunch, man. I owe you a thank you. And then I want you to pick me up in front of the college in your new whatever cars, your dream car, your Rivian or your Tesla or whatever. And we go grab a burger somewhere. Sweet. Good job. You took the lessons to heart, you took the theory and you applied it and turned it into application, and now you're doing fantastic. I'm happy for you. You made good decisions. And statistics helps us make good decisions. Right? It can be really hard to measure or impossible to measure an entire population. So we just take a sample from the population and we make estimates about the population. Right? We approximate what we think this is what the population's going to, really be truly, this is what the population really truly is like based upon our sample. And that means that the sample, right, if the sample mean is like $70,132 from our sample of like 1,000 people, and that's the average salary in America, right, that might be different than the actual population. If we were somehow able to measure the actual population, the average salary might be $70,419, right? So the sample statistic might be different from the population parameter, and we will never know the population parameter. But we have to recognize that our sample statistic, when we do a sample and we get a statistic, that might be different than the population parameter, the actual population parameter, which we're never going to be able to know. That we don't have that number, we don't have the population parameter, right? But we have to just sort of acknowledge, as truthful thinking intellects and academics and statisticians and business people, we have to acknowledge that, the sample statistic might not 100% accurately, reflect the population parameter. And what we're going to learn later in the class is we'll learn how to say, but we have 95% confidence that the population, the sample statistic is plus or minus $250, right? $250. We'll say $350. We'll say 300. We'll say that the sample statistic is within $300 plus or minus of the true population parameter. And we have 95% confidence that that's the case. We'll learn how to do that. And then we'll say, okay, 95% confidence, I'll go with that, right? That the sample statistic is within plus or minus $300 from the population parameter. And so the main thing you should be learning here, we talked about population parameter and sample statistic on Tuesday, but the main thing you should be learning is that there's this idea of the population, and it could be impossible for us to measure the entire population. So we take a sample, and when we take a sample, we get a statistic, and that approximates the population parameter. Now, the way we draw our sample matters. So we want to draw our sample, we want to randomly select. So like the gold sort of general basic principle of sampling, the main thing you should know about samples is that it should be a simple random sample. A simple random sample. And you'll see that abbreviated SRS. Okay, so when you draw a sample, it needs to be a simple random sample. And on Tuesday, we talked about this. If we said, hey, let's ask all of the people with $100 million or more who they think's who they're going to vote for president, that's like going to be a biased sample, right? Because we were only asking this one group, and people with $100 million or more probabilistically would vote conservative, Republican. I'm just like, I don't know a lot about it, but just guessing from what I do know, right? And so we're going to have a biased sample, and we're going to get a biased statistic, and we're going to approximate the population parameter with bias. And a better way to do it is to just do a simple random sample. We randomly select from the population, we randomly select who's going to be in our sample. And as we go through the course, we're going to learn like what size should the sample be so that I could get good results in which I could be confident. Should the sample be 2 people? Think that's going to give me good results? Say yay, if so, no. All right. If I have a sample of 2 people, will that give me good results? How many people say yes? If there's only 3 people in the world. Dude, I love it. What should you do with your future? And if I have, if I only have a sample of 2 people and there's 1 million, 1 billion, 8 billion people in the world, or 350 million people in America, and I only sample 2 people, if that's not going to give me good results, say aye. Right? It's not a big sample. I might just randomly get 2 people who are Republican when I'm asking who you're going to vote for, and then they both say, "Oh, I'm voting for Trump for a 3rd term," and then I report our study reflects that Americans are going to elect Trump. Well, how many people were in your study? 2? All right, I'm not going to believe in that study, right? But maybe at 200 people, I could start to have validity, or maybe at 35 people, I could start to have validity. It could start to be valid. Or maybe at 2,000 people, I could start to have validity, right? So you think about what's the sample size. Does this all kind of make sense? It's logical, right? It's not confusing. When you read it in the textbook, you're like, population, parameter, statistic, sample size, simple random sample, whatever, right? But if you realize this is about making good decisions, and this is how we do it, and of course we can't, measure everybody in America. People will be born and die by the time we start and finish the difference in that period. There's no feasible way to measure everybody, and it's too expensive, it's too complicated, right? So let's just do a sample, and we'll get a statistic, which is a measurement we get from the sample. Could be the mean, could be the median, could be the mode, could be the standard deviation, the variance. We'll get some statistic from the sample or multiple statistics from the sample, and those will approximate the population parameters. Now we're using the language of statisticians, of data scientists. We're learning the language of this culture. What's your name again? Lowen. I got to remember your name. Keep saying it, it'll stick. What's up, Lowen?
I was going to say, doesn't it not really matter how many people you ask? It depends on the area as well, like the area where people live.
Yeah, so that's also really important. So when you think about doing your sample, like if we were to be like, okay, we're gonna do a simple random sample. We're not sampling just people with $100 million, and I'm gonna go down to Laguna Beach Yacht Club for my simple random sample. Well, good job, you blew it, right? You got to think about all these different factors: your location, your zip code, where you're drawing it from. And so simple random sample is the foundational principle concept of drawing your sample. But then you could do cluster samples, stratified samples, and start to think about those things like geography or inclusion, making sure that we get a good representation of the different potential groups. But that's why you can never trust statistics. So there's this quote, I think it's also from Mark Twain, and the quote is, there are 3 types of lies. There are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. Right? Because anytime you hear a statistic, if you've been trained in this, in statistics and data analysis and data science, if you've been trained in it, you start to ask, okay, well, how did you conduct your sample? How many people were in your sample? Did you have good representation? And now you can no longer ever believe any statistic you hear, right? Because 73.4% of all statistics are junk. I just made that up. 73.4%. I made that up. That was a joke. What's up, CJ?
Well, even if you take statistics by location, the thing is more people tend to be in bigger cities, and so you can't always get an accurate representation either, because then it'd be biased to that location. Like if you take the average salary in California, it's going to be heavily biased towards Los Angeles or San Francisco, Sacramento. But the people who live up like in Toll House or Auberry, it's like they're not going to really matter in that statistic at all.
Beautiful insight, man.
So it also matters about population as well and location. So
yeah.
Statistics are bullshit.
Yeah, statistics are bullshit. Beautiful observation. Like, and instead of bullshit, we could say statistics are complicated. To get good measurements, it's a whole science. It could be complicated. But you know what? If you get good measurements, you know what you can do? Make billions of dollars. That's how complicated it is. Or you could revolutionize baseball, right? The Brad Pitt movie Moneyball and the book Moneyball. You could revolutionize baseball and sports, billions of dollars. Or you could create machines that think. You could create artificial intelligence, because AI works because of statistics and probabilities. It's all like these millions and billions of calculations of what is the right thing to respond. Holy cow, dude, that's all statistics. So if you master this field, which is challenging for many, if you're like, this is pretty interesting, you know, and you get a good grasp on it, one, it's going to empower you at a very practical level in your day-to-day life, whatever you do, to make better decisions. Like, in one way, you could kind of like, how many people have seen The Matrix? Say aye. You know, in Neo, is that who's the actor? Keanu Reeves. Is his name Neo? Yes. Okay. You know, in Neo at the end of The Matrix is like, he sees everything as like code. He's in the Matrix. It's just like all green zeros and ones or figures or whatever. You know that point? No! But like, you'll be able to be like, everything's statistics. Like, everything you do, every moment, every decision, you're running numbers, you're counting cards, you're calculating the odds, right? You might not be consciously aware of it, but like, what are the odds of me, like, you know, looking both ways at this red light when it turns green versus just driving straight forward? You know, and you might not be making good decisions, but as you become more aware of statistics, you might think, geez, what are the odds? If the light turns green, I just go, woo, versus if I go, woo, like better odds to not get in an accident if I look left and right before I hit the accelerator. Worse odds if I just hit the accelerator and go, because Fresno has a lot of people who run red lights. Odds, man. It's all statistics. Seemed like there's another phrase. Oh, and if you do somehow measure an entire population, because a population can be the entire world, all 8 billion people, you're not going to be able to measure it. Population could be all of America, 360 million people or whatever it is. What's the population of America? Does anybody know? Nobody knows. Ooh, we could come back to that. I guess let's go here. What is the population of America? Would you like it if I talked like that for the whole class? How hard would that be? It's what? 350 million, okay? What's the population in the world? How many people? Say a number. 8 point what?
8.3.
Yeah, Lowen, is that you?
Yeah.
Lowen got it. So we got 349 people. What proportion is America? We learned about proportion. In statistics, we call it a proportion. If it's 0.74 or 74 out of 100, we could also call it a percentage if we put the percent sign next to it. Accounts for approximately 4.2% of the total world population. Right, so we have 4.2% or 0.042, right, of the world's population. That's the proportion. And we have, 25 to 26% of global wealth. So we've got 4% of the population and 25% of global wealth. Do you know what that means? You won the money lottery. right? You want to see statistics? You want me to blow your mind? Say aye if you want me to blow your mind. In my hands, I have a red pill and I have a blue pill. If you take the blue pill, everything goes back to the way it was before. You return to your normal life and you never remember any of this happened. If you take the red pill, your eyes will be open to the reality that has always been around you. How many people want the blue pill? Say aye. How many people want the red pill? Say aye. Ooh, you guys are all red pillars. I love it. You're ready for the adventure? One of the things we do in statistics is we take data and we make it more consumable. I got to do this in a new video. Next video, people.